What's up guys, CJ here and welcome back to another all-new Hybrid News Now. Today's massive video is brought to you by Gamefly. If you love gaming like I do, go ahead and grab yourself a free 30-day premium trial of their game rental service just by using our exclusive link www.gameflyoffer.com/hybridnetwork. I say massive video because this is a very special H&N unlike any that we've ever done before. That's because today, an embargo lifted, an embargo on outlets publishing reports about their set visits for Doctor Strange. So now, thanks to outlets from Collider to comicbook.com, we have a ton of brand new details about the film. I'm talking things from how magic works in the movie, the film's many mystical artifacts, details on supporting characters from Wong to Rachel McAdams' mysterious role, and even Baron Mordo, and yes, of course, the villains the movie sets up, from Kaecilius to, wait for it, Dormammu himself. Magic has always been the big question mark of this movie, and really it's kind of been the big question mark in the MCU as well. I mean, we've gone from Thor, which went away from that character's mystical side by claiming advanced science, to Scarlet Witch, who is magical but as a product of scientific experiments. And now, the Marvel movie train has landed at Doctor Strange, the Sorcerer Supreme, a character so intrinsically tied to magic itself, it's honestly hard to imagine how they'd separate him from it. Well, now, thanks to these set visits, we have a much better understanding of how magic will work in the movie. In a word, magic in Doctor Strange will be very heavily tied into metaphysics, that is to say, related to the very nature of reality and being. Kevin Feige actually described it as channeling energy from other dimensions and universes, and multiple outlets have further tied that into Ant-Man's quantum realm. And from the available information in these reports, it seems like Doctor Strange is really setting up the new framework for how magic is explained in the MCU. It even kind of seems like Scarlet Witch is doing this too, transmitting extra-dimensional energy. It's just that she has zero training and honestly doesn't know how she does it. But if it doesn't sound like Doc Strange's magic is, well, magical enough for you, don't worry, the good doctor will stumble on a ton of mystical artifacts that fans will know and love from the comics. From the trailers, we know that the Eye of Agamotto, his sick green blingy necklace, will play a huge role in the movie, and the Cloak of Levitation seems like it'll play a pretty big part too. But how about one that wasn't confirmed until now? I've talked to several fans who have wondered if the Book of Vishanti would make an appearance, and well, great news there, multiple reports now confirm the famous Book of Counterspells is in fact in the film. But what about the other artifacts from the comics? Don't worry, you'll be seeing a ton of them. In fact, director Scott Derrickson himself confirmed that of all the relics you'll see in the movie, just about every single one is ripped straight from the page, except for the little devices that let them teleport. Those little things are called sling rings, and as Derrickson notes, they're essentially just a physical way of making the magic from the comics happen. Speaking of those artifacts, a place like Kamar-Taj that's been around for thousands of years has to have a curator, a keeper of all these mystical artifacts, right? Well, it does, and that leads us into talking about the cast a little bit. Wong's role has been talked about a lot, and there have been a ton of reassurances from Marvel that no, he won't be just a manservant. And in fact, that was backed up in the reports as Kevin Feige himself confirmed that Wong is tasked specifically with protecting the books and relics of Kamar-Taj. In the film, he's a powerful sorcerer in his own right, coming from a long line of warrior monks, to borrow comicbook.com's phrase, that have always protected the Ancient Ones, and in fact he'll be more of an ally to Strange and kind of a mentor than anything else. Speaking of supporting characters, one of the biggest question marks since the beginning of the film's development has been who exactly is Rachel McAdams playing? Well, many have thought it might have been Clea, and we will talk about that in a second. McAdams is actually playing a nurse and former co-worker of Doctor Strange's, Christine Palmer, who you might know from the comics as the Night Nurse. So no, not Clea. The idea behind Palmer's inclusion was to have a grounded character in all the crazy goings-on, according to Feige, to kind of act as the audience, someone who's right there with you when you see Stephen Strange doing crazy, mystical, magical stuff, or fully decked out as the Sorcerer Supreme. The want, and maybe the need for that kind of character is why Clea wasn't included. Now that that mystery is solved, one of the biggest mysteries of the film remains: Mordo. Classically in the comics, Baron Karl Mordo was another student in Kamar-Taj who turned evil over his jealousy of the Ancient One's preference for Doctor Strange. In this film, though, Feige noted that they specifically wanted to avoid that evil rival cliche, and so in this film he's maybe more complex than you'll find in the comics. In fact, in kind of a surprising reveal, Mordo is the one who advocates for the good doctor in the beginning, and he actually has to work really hard to convince the Ancient One to take him on as a student. Moving on to our very last segment, the villains of the film, brought to you today especially by Gamefly. As a special offer just for you, Hybrid Network's amazing viewers, Gamefly is offering you a free 30-day premium trial of their game rental service. For those of you unfamiliar with Gamefly, essentially you select a game that you want to rent from a huge library of titles, they ship it to you, you can play it as long as you want, and then you ship it back for a new one when you're done. And as I said last week, with games like Battlefield 1 coming out, something that I'm a little hesitant to shell out the full $60 for, this service is perfect. And if it sounds like something that you're interested in, go ahead and get that free 30-day premium trial just by going to our exclusive link, www.gameflyoffer.com/hybridnetwork. Once again, that's www.gameflyoffer.com/hybridnetwork. And if you still stuck around, thank you. Your patience is about to be rewarded in a big way. So let's talk baddies. We've known this for a while now, unofficially, but now we have confirmation the villain of the film is Kaecilius, the leader of a group known as the Zealots, who are former students of Kamartaj who believed the Ancient One was holding them back and left in search of more power. While their search for more powerful definitely was successful, Scott Derrickson said, as Kaecilius is actually powered by something or someone otherworldly, which he then went on to note is another character ripped straight from the comics. And if you don't catch where that's headed right away, his next tease might put some pieces of the puzzle together for you. Derrickson said he's always loved the character of Sauron from the Lord of the Rings movie and how he made his power and presence felt with just kind of a behind-the-scenes string-pulling role. That's right, at this moment, all signs point to Dormammu himself officially coming to the MCU. Kevin Feige later name-dropped the flame-headed villain himself and his dark dimension when discussing the film's alternate realities, and the fact that not all of them are just parallel versions of our world. So nothing is officially confirmed yet, but all those things combined seem like a good indication. So a ton to digest there, but when you've kind of had a moment and you've gathered yourself, let me know in the comment section down below which of these things is the most exciting for you. Don't forget to smash that like if you like what you saw, subscribe for more great content every single day, and consider supporting us on Patreon for access to all sorts of exclusive goodies. Signing off, this is CJ, and I'll see you next time.